Hey, what's up, folks? How's it going? This is Avis here, and welcome to DevOps Challenge Hub. So let's start with today's interview question. And today we are going to start with Lambda. Let me share my screen. So question is, what is Lambda, and what are different event sources that can trigger it? Okay. So what is Lambda, and what are the different event sources that can trigger it? So what is Lambda? Lambda is serverless function, and it's event driven. So what does it mean serverless? So generally, like we launch EC2 instance or server where we run our code, right? We launch server and then there we execute the code. In Lambda, we just give the code to Amazon and tell that for this code we need Python environment or Node.js environment or whatever environment we need to run this code and let it run. And when it will run, when there is some trigger. What kind of trigger? Maybe there is some hit at the API gateway, API endpoint. So we have API endpoint, and if someone make a request, HTTP request, then your Lambda function will be triggered. Or someone has uploaded some files to S3 bucket. So once that file is uploaded to S3 bucket, your Lambda can be triggered. So whatever code is there in that Python function, it will be executed. Or every day at 5 p.m. in the evening, your Lambda can be triggered. It's like a cron job. So these are the different ways you can trigger Lambda. So that means there will be event source. From there, event will come, and it's a serverless because we are not going to maintain the server on our own. Otherwise, normally what we do, we set up the server, install the development environment, packages, etc., and keep the server running and keep our program also running in the server. But here, we just give the code. So AWS Lambda is a serverless event-driven compute service that runs the code without provisioning or managing server. So we don't need to provision or manage the server. It just runs your code. You upload a function, code plus configuration, and Lambda runs it and responds to events. Some event happens, Lambda get that events. Based on that event, it takes some action, it runs the code, and it responds back. When to use short-lived task, even processors, microservices, lightweight API. In this case, cron job via event bridge, we can run Lambda. And what are the benefits? There is no server management, automatic scaling, and pay for use. Like if you use it for 2 minutes, you will be paying for 2 minutes in the whole day. But if you're running server, maybe whole day if you're running, and only one or two user requests you are getting, and but you have to pay the whole day 24-hour cost. But here, maybe user is calling your HTTP API endpoint, some calculation. So whenever user hitting, maybe for a few seconds, yeah, the cost will be that much only. Event source for Lambda. Lambda is triggered by AWS services. Common sources include API Gateway, S3, DynamoDB Stream, Kinesis, SQS, NSS, Event Bridge. So there are many event sources. Right? As we discussed, API Gateway, S3 bucket, DynamoDB Streams, SQS, SNS, Event Bridge, CloudWatch events, etc. And each source has different invocation semantics, sync versus asynchronous ordering, guarantees, batch size, retry behavior. Okay. So let's see some demo. Here, Avantika has shared one demo. Let's see what she is doing here.
So I'll be giving a demo of AWS Lambda. Now this is my AWS Lambda console, the AWS Lambda. So this is my dashboard, and what we are supposed to do is create a function. So what is AWS Lambda? AWS Lambda happens to be a serverless service, which means that I don't have to set up or manage any servers. I just have to write my code, which is in the functions. And whenever the Lambda runs, there's something to trigger it. And we can create files or maybe a schedule or anything which is written in the code. Now, how do I create a Lambda function? I'll just go to create function, select this author from scratch, give a function name. And for now, I'll use Python 3.13. And for permissions, it's this one, and create a function. Now I want to create a function which will print hello lambda on a website using by calling API gateways. So I will first create my function. Okay, now it's done. Now I'm going to add the code over here.
So this is a simple code, just prints hello from lambda, a lambda handler. So you can see that event is coming inside the function, inside the lambda function. Event is sent by either API gateway or S3 bucket or any event source. But here she is going to create HTTP endpoint. That will be the event source. So it's going to create HTTP API endpoint, and that will be connected to this lambda. So someone hits that API endpoint using call command or postman. That HTTP request will come to this lambda.
After adding the code, I will just deploy this. Now this has successfully updated the function hello lambda. Now I will add an environment variable, which I'll go to the configuration, go to environment variables and edit this variable called app name and add the value lambda demo and save this. Okay. Once it's done, I don't need to hard code the values in the code. I can just use my environment variables. And after this, I will set the API gateway trigger, which can be done by going to triggers and adding one. Now I'll select the source, which is the API gateway, and create a new API. And security can be open and add it. I'm using HTTP API as it's the easiest one. And after this, I get a trigger, which is, and the API endpoint is this value. So that's all there is. Now,
so this API endpoint, it can be invoked from browser. It can be invoked using call get request. It can be invoked using postman. Since it's a get request, it can be invoked from browser also.
Now Lambda needs a way to be triggered, and nothing can call it. So, which is why I added an API gateway to it, which gives me an HTTP endpoint, and that way I can use my like open this, and you can see there's the hello from Lambda demo. I can also change the variable, the environment variables, and based on that, it'll show it again. For example, hello world. And if I trigger it again, it'll show hello from world. Now that's all there is to Lambda. So what we have learned is to write and deploy a function and to use the environment variables inside and triggering it with an API. We can even go to CloudWatch and check the logs. Over here, we can see all metrics. Okay. Logs, then log insights.
They're in the log groups.
Okay, so we can see that there's one log group for hello lambda, and we can see when it has been triggered. So every time we go to this website, we can refresh it, and the CloudWatch will log this stream. Yeah, that's all there is to AWS Lambda. So till now, we've learned the foundation of AWS Lambda over here.
Okay. So now let's go to the quiz section. Which of the following is not a typical use case of AWS Lambda? Which of the following is not a typical use case for AWS Lambda? You can pause the video and try to answer. So answer is like running always on large scale application. So this is not a typical use case of Lambda. This is true. Short-lived task and event processor for Lambda. Lightweight API handler. This is also true for Lambda. Cron style job using event bridge. That is also true for Lambda. So C is not true. What is the key benefit? What is the key benefit of using AWS Lambda? You can pause the video and try to answer. What is the key benefit? Manual server provision is required, automatic scaling and pay per use, reserve capacity billing was required. The answer is B, automatic scaling and pay per use. Okay. And then the fourth, then the next one is which of the following services can be an event source for AWS Lambda? AWS S3 true, DynamoDB stream yes, Kinesis also, so all of the above. All of the above. So that's it for today. Hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also follow my page, DevOps Challenge Hub. I post quiz content daily. You can participate in that. And follow my WhatsApp community where I post jobs, interview tips, and career tips. And you will find the link below this YouTube video. Thank you for watching this video. See you again in the next video.